let's start with our first clinical in anti-aging, where they're actually going to look at the crow's feet region. And I should mention here, and as stated in the paper, I actually am just going to read what they wrote. They say, Panax ginseng root is considered the most important part of the plant for medicinal purpose, and most studies in its ginsenosides have focused on the root. However, several studies have reported that the leaf exhibited higher content of ginsenoside than the main root, and that the content of these leaf extracts, ginsenosides, was higher than that of the root itself. And so basically, Gore and I've kind of been talking about this. It kind of feels like the root and all the testing behind it has been exhausted, and they would like to move on. So anyways, with this clinical, they actually are going to test the leaf extract on 17 subjects for 8 weeks. And through that, they do some imaging, track it over, and they did find that there's a significant improvement in the crow's feet in terms of depth and surface area of the wrinkles over these 8 weeks. And we'll show the images here of the before and afters. They took images from at T0, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, and 8 weeks. And for those of you listening, I'm sorry you can't experience this thing that we are all experiencing, and that is squinting at the images to see these improvements.
Yeah, it's not your imagination. If you're, tuning in this episode on YouTube, press pause. It's going to take you a little bit of time. Zoom in. I hope your laptop or your phone has high definition. Zoom in again, and you might see, yes. By 8 weeks, it does look a little better.
I think it's like the wrinkles shortened a little bit.
Yeah, and then the depth could be a little bit less. Generally speaking, I think that's the nature of instrumental measurements. Well, Victoria and I do prefer these because they give us a more thorough picture of the degree of improvement you can expect. And we do always say that even though these numbers sound smaller than consumer perceptions of like 98% agree that skin looks better, there's still like a zone where like below which you're like, but can you really tell it's improving? Say if a computer imaging says, oh yeah, crow's feet improved by 5%. What does that really mean to the naked eye?
Exactly. But we'll move on because there's surprisingly more clinicals.
I think this tinfoil hat theory is very, very, very true. They probably tested all the root stuff, and they're like, the roots are like okay, but like I don't know, man, it doesn't seem that exciting. So they tested the leaf, and now they're like, you know what? Biochemistry stuff. We are gonna start changing up these extract a little bit to jazz it up. So this next anti-aging study is actually done on enzyme modified versions of ginseng. So this is also a petite study we should mention. They looked at 23 randomized human subjects. And what I do like about these small studies, and I think it's actually kind of brave for a small study like this, to compare with a placebo. So we're only talking about Kumo's sketch. So
hello, Kumo.
So we're talking about just like 10 subjects in each group at the same time. Because there is a placebo, we are able to get a little bit more info than, like a 20% study testing just the cream. Yeah. And what they did is they used global photo damage score and looked at roughness, smoothness, depth, kind of like the works of general skin condition. And from their study, the conclusion said that no participants reported adverse reactions. Cool. And they said it sufficiently suppressed eye wrinkle formation by decreasing various roughness measures on the basis of assessment with non-invasive devices. I don't know what sufficiently suppressed means, but my guess is it did something.
It sounds like it decreased, but might not be significant.
Yeah. Well, which is not surprising. If you only have 10 people, It's hard to get anything super significant. Come on, no, literally the worst place you can possibly bleed.
Yes. Please show everyone your butthole.
not the lap, not right now.
The listeners are spared of Kumo's very forward introduction.
Anyway, so it seems like this is an interesting early clinical. I would say to me, if I'm reading this clinical, that might be kind of a green light for me to want to proceed with a different test with maybe a higher dose of it and see where it goes. But that's where we're at right now in this moment with these like enzyme modified ginseng extract.